The Where Our Minds Wander podcast may contain sensitive content and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow wanderers, to the places our minds wander.
The house at the end of the dirt road, where disembodied voices whisper and strange sounds make the living shiver.
Where shadows lurk at the edge of the woods, just outside your back door. And mysterious lights speed beyond reason across the clear night sky.
Odd events throughout time that lead you down the rabbit hole.
I'm Wes.
And I'm Beth.
And this is Where Our Minds Wander. Hello and welcome to Where Our Minds Wander, all you fellow wanderers. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everybody.
Well, it's a beautiful evening here in upstate New York, isn't it?
It is. Nice breeze, not too hot, but still, feels like spring.
Yeah, it's a great night to be in the studio recording this episode. We've had a pretty good afternoon, really. We went out, got sushi with our daughter, and then we took a walk down through some of our favorite antique stores, and we had quite the score, didn't we?
Oh my gosh, did we ever?
Why don't you tell them about it?
So we picked up 4 ribbon pins for the Oddfellows. So they're International Order of the Oddfellows ribbons, and they have these celluloid pins on them, and they're very ornate and just really cool looking. And as far as we can tell, they're from the early 1900s, maybe even the late 1800s.
Yeah. What a score.
Mm-hmm.
You eyed them at first.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what the hell are those?
I see something old, I hone in on it.
Yeah. And then one of the ladies that we know, we're pretty good friends with her because we're in there quite often. She gave us one hell of a deal.
Yeah, we got 4 of them for the price of what 2 of them had on their tags. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, what an excellent evening.
Mm-hmm.
So far, it's been pretty good. Let's hope the rest of the week continues on like today has been.
Yeah, we're recording a little late in the week for us. Usually we start on Sunday, and here it is Tuesday. Is it Tuesday?
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, and we're just getting started. So.
Well, I didn't feel well Sunday night,
mm-hmm.
and then you didn't feel well Monday night. So it's like, well, here we are.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday. We're both doing halfway decent.
Yes, we are.
Knock on wood.
Right.
Well, we got an interesting show for you all tonight.
We have a great show tonight. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard about the Jersey Devil.
Probably.
But we did a deep delve into it. I hope that we can bring you a little bit more information that you possibly didn't know before.
That is our aim.
That is our goal.
Yes.
So, as always, we're going to let Beth start us off.
Yes, I'm going to get started.
Because she's got the beginning that has all the big words in it that my mouth can't pronounce.
We shall see. The Pine Barrens of New Jersey stretch across 1,700 square miles of the southeastern part of the state, covering 7 counties. According to the Atlantic County, NewJersey.gov website, it's actually a giant aquifer with dense stands of white cedar. The cedar stands throughout the swamp stain the streams red with tannin. One area of stunted trees is called the pygmy forest. 27 different types of orchids grow in the Pine Barrens, along with carnivorous plants and pygmy pitch pines. Initially, travel was quite difficult through the barrens because of the many swamps. Most of the earlier roads were Indian trails and later stagecoach roads, But some, even to this day, are just stretches of sand. The sandy soil, which locals refer to as sugar sand, made it difficult to grow crops. And so, for the most part, not many settlers made a go there. But the water was pure and good. Today, the Pine Barrens is a popular spot for outdoor enthusiasts, from hiking to biking to camping. Even just driving through the Barrens is a great way to spend a day, or even stopping for some bird watching. But be warned, you may see something that you just won't believe. Or you may hear something you never want to hear again. A piercing scream that fills your body with terror. Because for almost 300 years now, the Pine Barrens have been the home of one super scary creature known as the Jersey Devil.
I don't know about the Jersey Devil, but the carnivorous plants sound pretty damn scary to me.
I'd like to see them. And the pygmy forest. That sounds intriguing. Accounts of the Jersey Devil go all the way back to the year 1735, when the inhuman cryptid was said to have been born one dark and stormy night. But since then, some very famous people, as well as thousands of everyday people, have had some pretty frightening encounters. These encounters range from hearing something making a terrible shrieking noise out in the woods, just outside a camper's tent, to people having to brake really fast while driving through the Barrens because something has rushed across the road in front of their car. Descriptions of the Jersey Devil are incredibly varied. Rumor has it that the reason so many people have described it differently is because in the moment they were so terrified that they just couldn't get a good look at it because they were running away so fast. But so many people have seen this creature, like I said, that the state of New Jersey actually made it their official state demon in 1938. Yes, they are the only state to have an official state demon.
Now, see, that's something that they should have on their license plate.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
I know, because New York State, really, our plates are dull as all hell. But can you imagine the Jersey Devil on the background of your license plate?
Yeah, on the Jersey plates, that would be cool.
I mean, you think that we would have Champy, the Lake Champlain sea monster here.
Right.
But we don't.
The Lake Champlain sea monster.
Oh. Yeah, you're right.
It's one or the other. It's a lake monster or it's a sea monster.
All right, it's a lake monster. I'm so used to saying sea monster that really,
right.
That's the way I think of it.
So can I get back to the Jersey Devil?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Oh,
I'm sorry for interrupting.
So in general, the Jersey Devil is said to have a body like a kangaroo, large bat-like wings, the head of a horse, but with horns, and a tail. Other descriptions say that it has the hind legs of a horse, a crane-like body, and a neck like a boa constrictor, topped with a head like a dragon's. So, yeah, it looks like your classical demon archetype. Not something you want to encounter while you're driving, or worse, out camping with just a flimsy nylon tent protecting you.
Or parking with your girlfriend.
Right.
Getting it on, and next thing you know, you get the Jersey Devil peeking in on you. That's got to be quite frightening. Worse than the cops showing up.
I would think, yes. Over the years, the Jersey Devil has been blamed for all kinds of things, like failed crops, or drying up the local cows because it drinks all their milk directly from the udders before the humans can get to it. and it's been blamed for causing droughts. It's killed off livestock, eaten the family dog, blown the tops off trees, and boiled the stream water. Luckily, the Jersey Devil only reappears every 7 years, supposedly. But at other times, he's broken his 7-year rule when he needed to be a harbinger of war or some sort of disaster. You may laugh, since the Jersey Devil, that bat-winged kangaroo with his glowing red eyes and ear-piercing scream, sounds like a bunch of baloney. But with all of the sightings, especially by some rather well-known people, you have to question what exactly people have been seeing for 291 years. Especially since back in 1909, it seemed like there might have been a whole family of them terrorizing the Jersey towns of Bristol, Chatsworth, Bridgeton, Haddonfield, and the city of Trenton. So, let's start with where it all began and do some debunking, or at least some questioning, along the way. As I'm sure all of you know by now, questioning doesn't always lead to satisfying answers. The year is 1735. We find ourselves inside a small cabin at Leeds Point, where Mother Leeds is about to give birth to her 13th child. The Leeds were a Quaker family, and they were struggling to make ends meet. As Mother Leeds labored in one room, her husband and 12 children huddled together in another, or so the story goes. Outside, the night was filled with lashing rain and rolling thunder. Inside, the candlelight flickered as Mother Leeds gave birth. Now, the stories vary. Some say the poor woman cried out that she, quote, wished the devil would take this one, while other versions say she cried, let it be the devil. Either way, the name of the devil was invoked, but Mother Leeds gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Well, at first. Within minutes, the child began to change. As Mother Leeds watched in horror, the child's body elongated. His head turned into that of a horse. Leathery wings sprouted from his back. His human feet reshaped into cloven hooves. A tail grew, as well as feathers and scales. Talons sprouted at the ends of his fingertips. And when he opened his mouth to cry, an ear-piercing shriek poured out. Some accounts say the demon baby immediately unfurled its wings and flew out the open window. Others say the Leeds kept the child confined until one day when it escaped up the chimney. Still, others say the Jersey Devil turned on Mother Leeds and took her life before flying away. Whether the Jersey Devil turned murderous before it flew away or not, it was said to have made a new home in the swamps of the Pine Barrens. Believe it or not, this unbelievable tale isn't the only origin story for the Jersey Devil, although it is the most widely known. A second variation, according to AtlanticCountyNewJersey.gov, is that a young girl from Leeds Point had fallen in love with a British soldier. In 1778, the British and Americans fought at Chestnut Neck, and the townsfolk were not supportive of the young girl and the soldier's relationship. They accused her of treason and shunned her from the area. As she left town, they couldn't help but put a curse on her for good measure. It was this young girl who later gave birth to the Jersey Devil, then known as the Leeds Devil. But let's go back to the more commonly known version, the one with Mother Leeds and her 13 children. You see, there really was a Leeds family in the Pine Barrens in the late 1600s and early 1700s. They were a rather prominent family. Daniel Leeds published an almanac, and according to a New Jersey Humanities.org article, another prominent almanac publisher wasn't too fond of Daniel Leeds. This guy named Benjamin Franklin. The Leeds were Quakers, but Daniel often published astrological charts in his almanacs, which upset some of the other Quaker community members. The tension was bad enough that Daniel decided to leave the Quaker community and convert to Anglicanism. From then on, he began printing anti-Quaker stuff in his almanacs. He was also a friend of New Jersey's British royal governor, which also made his neighbors a little mad, and they started saying he was in league with the devil. The devil motif became even stronger when Daniel's son Titan took over the publishing business, and he put the family crest on the almanacs beginning in 1728. It included a wyvern, or winged dragon. Not long after, Leeds' almanac was beginning to give Benjamin Franklin's Poor Richard's Almanac a run for its money. The New Jersey Humanities article says, quote, "To drum up sales for his almanac, Franklin began a semi-friendly feud with Leeds. Franklin floated predictions of Leeds' impending death and encouraged readers to purchase future editions of the almanac to see if the predictions proved true. He later accused Leeds of being a ghost who had already died. These tactics played on the occultist reputation that had followed the Leeds family from the previous conflict with the Quaker community." End quote. So, it's not too far of a stretch to assume that the Mother Leeds Jersey Devil legend all stems from these historical facts. Blame Benjamin Franklin. But here's the thing. Whether we can believe the origin story or not, the Jersey Devil, or Leeds Devil as it's still sometimes called, has been seen and heard ever since. The Scottish privateer Captain William Kidd lived from 1645 to 1701. He was hired by the British to protect England's interests in the 13 colonies. He basically was a pirate hunter until he found himself accused and executed for becoming a pirate himself. Well, at some point during his pirate years, Captain Kidd buried some of his treasure in Barnegat Bay, right next to the Pine Barrens. As was the custom at the time, once you buried your treasure, you always killed whoever helped you bury it. Now, the lore is that your helper had to be killed so that his ghost would forever guard your treasure. I think, if it's true that that's what they would do, it's far more likely that you killed them so that they wouldn't come back alone and steal it from you. But anyway, at Barnegat Bay, it's the ghost of Captain Kidd himself who is said to haunt his former treasure spot. Except, I'm not sure how you'd know it's him because his ghost is reportedly headless. But anyway, the weird thing is that early on, locals said his ghost was seen walking along the shore with a companion, and that companion just happened to be the Jersey Devil. The second early account comes from none other than Joseph Bonaparte, brother of Napoleon. Now, I say it's an account loosely, but like the Mother Leeds origin story and the Captain Kidd ghost story, it may be way more myth than fact. I found a retelling of the legend by S.E. Schlosser, who we love. We've used her retellings before in other episodes. But here it is, paraphrased, of course. Joseph Bonaparte and the Jersey Devil. In 1813, Joseph Bonaparte was forced to give up his rule of Spain. No longer king, he found himself exiled to America, where he purchased 800 acres in Bordertown, New Jersey. He picked that spot because it was equal distance between the ports of New York and Philadelphia. He used his wealth to build a magnificent mansion in 1819, which at the time was the largest house in the entire United States. His artwork included 150 works by master painters, and his library contained over 8,000 books. He threw lavish parties where he entertained the elite, like John Adams, the Marquis de Lafayette, and Daniel Webster. The first mansion burnt down in 1820, but he quickly rebuilt an even bigger one, which was said to be the second nicest house in America. Do you know what the first nicest house would be?
Not a clue.
The White House.
You know, I did have a clue, and I was going to say the White House. Now I'm kicking myself. I knew it.
But Joseph was alone one snowy winter day when he decided to go hunting. As he rode along, he happened to notice some very strange tracks on the ground. They looked like they were made by a 2-footed donkey, except that one foot, or hoof, was larger than the other. He followed them, of course, until they just stopped, as if whatever it was had just been lifted into the air. At that exact moment, the air filled with a strange hissing sound. Joseph turned his horse around and found himself face to face with a terrifying winged creature. It had the head of a horse and long bird-like legs. Shocked and probably pretty frightened, Joseph and the creature just stared at each other until the creature gave one more hiss, beat its wings, and flew away. Rattled but unharmed, Joseph rode home. When he described his encounter to a friend and asked what the heck kind of animal he had seen, his friend told him that he had seen the Jersey Devil. Allegedly, Joseph looked for the creature every time he went hunting after that, until he returned to Italy at least, but he never saw it again. Our famous historical figure encounters continue with Commodore Stephen Decatur. And yes, he is the man whom many cities and towns throughout the U.S. are named after. Commodore Decatur was an American naval hero who fought many battles. According to Wikipedia, he supervised the construction of several U.S. naval ships, and he was the youngest man to earn the rank of captain in the entire U.S. naval history. He served under 3 presidents and played a major role in both Barbary Wars in North Africa, the Quasi-War with France, which frankly was one I'd never heard of before, and the War of 1812. He died at just 41 years of age, but not in battle. He actually died in a duel, like an honest-to-God walk 20 paces and turn around and pull your pistol and fire kind of duel.
Well, yeah, it was a real thing back then.
No, I know, but you just don't hear that very often. But prior to that, in some unknown year, at least I couldn't find a year, he paid a visit to the Hanover Mill Works in New Jersey to inspect some cannonballs being forged for battle. While he was there, he decided to visit the firing range with a friend. And as they inspected the cannons, he spotted the Jersey Devil flying in the sky. Decatur loaded a cannon and shot at the Jersey Devil, striking it with a cannonball. But alarmingly, the Jersey Devil shook off the direct hit as if it was absolutely nothing and flew away. After this, the stories of the Jersey Devil got a lot weirder and even less likely. For example, in 1870, a fisherman off the coast of Long Beach swore that he saw the Jersey Devil cavorting with a mermaid.
Oh my God. I imagine. I want to know what that looks like.
I know.
Huh.
I mean, does the Jersey Devil swim? Or was the mermaid up on a rock sunning herself?
Well, that's the way I see it. I could see the New Jersey Devil kind of just sunning himself on the beach, and this mermaid came out of the water, sat up on a rock, and he's like, ooh, look at that.
Half fish, half woman. I like it.
Yeah. Interesting. It's kind of kinky.
Well, it is easy to laugh it all off as a long history of folklore and...
Herp legends?
What is herp legends supposed to be?
I don't know. You wrote it. It's your part of the story. I imagine the herp legends is what the New Jersey Devil got from the mermaid.
Or the other way around.
And that's where we got herpes from.
Sorry, everybody. I'm just reading along, just being my happy little self, and that's what I apparently wrote. Long history of folklore and herp legends.
Pretty good typo.
Oh, my goodness. Well, now that we've had a good laugh at the expense of the Jersey Devil, if it had been all just folklore, it may have gone down in literature as nothing more than just folklore and myth.
Yeah, but sounds like the New Jersey Devil might have gone down.
Oh.
Oh, maybe that's where they got the fishy smell from.
Oh, stop.
Along with the herpes.
We're going to have to edit all that out. Stop talking.
Oh, yeah, I'll edit it out. No worries, honey. Continue on.
But then 1909 rolled around, and the mythic, legendary creature became a terrifying reality. And Wes is going to tell us all about that after this quick break. Hey, did you know? Turns out the urban legend that the Pepsi-Cola company once owned the 6th largest navy in the world might just be more factual than fiction. In 1989, the Pepsi-Cola company wanted to expand their bottling facilities in the USSR. But since the USSR didn't have that kind of currency, they struck a pretty sweet trade deal. In return for a lot of soda syrup, the USSR gave Pepsi 17 Soviet submarines, a frigate, a cruiser, and a destroyer. Now, these were no state-of-the-art military vessels. Far from it. In fact, they were decommissioned, of course, and so outdated and deteriorated that most of them were already sinking. So yes, in a way, Pepsi-Cola did own the 6th largest navy in the world. But not really, and only for a very short time. Pepsi immediately sold them all to a Norwegian scrap metal yard. Who'da thunk it?
All right, we are back. And before the break, Beth had teased you all with the promise that the Jersey Devil sightings went from silly and fun to downright terrifying. The date was January 16th, 1909. A fresh snowfall had blanketed the streets of Trenton, New Jersey. According to CapitalCentury.com, Thad Cozzens was on his way out of the Woodbury Hotel when he, quote, heard a hissing and something white flew across the street. I saw 2 spots of phosphorus, the eyes of the beast. There was a white cloud, like escaping steam from an engine. It moved as fast as an auto, end quote. From that moment onward until January 23rd, the Jersey Devil went on a crazy zigzagging terror spree all around Trenton, Bristol, Pennsylvania, Burlington, New Jersey, and Riverside, New Jersey. The same day as the Cozzens spotted the Jersey Devil flying past the Woodbury Hotel in Trenton, John McGowan in Bristol, Pennsylvania, spotted the creature along the banks of the Delaware River. On January 17th, according to LevitttownNow.com, a police officer named James Sackville came across a, quote, peculiar animal hanging out on Buckley Street in Bristol. Sackville described the creature as having wings and hopping like a bird, but it let out a, quote, terrible scream. Sackville was so startled by the sheer sound of the scream that he pulled out his gun and shot at the creature. But just like Commodore Decatur's cannonball, the bullet from the revolver simply annoyed the creature. All it did was just hop away. Not long after, Bristol's postmaster, E.W. Minster, witnessed the Jersey Devil flying off towards New Jersey. On the morning of January 18th, the good people of Bristol were startled to find strange hoofprints in their snow-covered yards. Local trappers couldn't identify the tracks as belonging to any kind of animal that they'd ever seen before. Unbeknownst to them, in nearby Burlington, New Jersey, people were waking up to discover similar tracks in their yards also. And for many of them, they had to spend the morning cleaning up their garbage, which was strewn all over the place. One of the towns, I don't know if it was Bristol or Burlington, sent out tracking dogs to follow the prints, but they didn't turn up anything. However, even more tracks were reported in Columbus, New Jersey, and Rancocas, New Jersey. In Riverside, New Jersey, someone's puppy was killed, and the encounters continued. Back in Trenton, shortly after midnight on January 20th, the Trent Theater doorman, William Cromley, was in his buggy driving home towards Ewing. According to CapitalCentury.com, all of a sudden, his horses just stopped dead in the road. Cromley couldn't see anything that could have spooked them, so he got out to investigate. And that's when he did see something. At first, he thought it was some sort of dog, but then it hissed at him, spread its wings, and flew away. Just a few moments later, councilman and prominent businessman Claudius P. Whedon was woken up by a sound of loud banging on his door at his home at 217 Brunswick Avenue. He didn't want to just open the door, so instead he flung open his bedroom window to see who was trying to wake him up. He didn't see a person, though. In fact, he didn't see anything, but he heard something, very large wings flapping. When he looked down at his yard, he could clearly see cloven hoofprints in the snow. After Councilman Whedon spoke out about his encounter, other people were more willing to report what they had seen also. Like a couple of muskrat trappers in Hamilton, New Jersey, who followed its tracks. Or a Trenton woman who barricaded herself inside her house when she heard the Jersey Devil flying around her home. A couple in Gloucester claimed that they saw the Jersey Devil, quote, banging around on top of their backyard shed. Livestock were being killed. Cows were running dry. There were even 2 reports of trolleys being attacked in both Hayden Heights and Burlington. Homeowners in West Collingswood said it landed on their roof and when firefighters arrived, they turned their hoses on it. This, unlike the cannon and bullets, apparently pissed it off, because it attacked the firemen before flying off. People were freaking out. Many of the people who worked in the Pine Barrens refused to leave their homes and go to work. Several posses were formed in hopes of taking down the fearsome beast. Some even claimed to have wounded it, but it just kept coming back for more. Several of the newspapers treated it as a complete joke, coming up with silly names for the creature like Wazzlebug or the Flying Hoof.
The Flying Hoof.
Wazzlebug's pretty good.
It is.
Francis B. Lee, a humorist out of Trenton, called it a Hesperodinosaur rorinus and said that the only best bug juice drinkers would see it. Bug juice, of course, was slang for moonshine. And of course, there were those people who saw a grand opportunity for making a quick buck, like Philadelphia showman Jacob Hope, who claimed he'd award $500 to anyone who captured and killed the Jersey Devil, which he said was an elusive type of Australian vampire.
Australian vampire?
Australian vampire.
They're different from the Transylvanian vampires?
I guess so, because they're from Australia.
Right.
Soon after, he claimed that someone had shot and killed it, and anyone could come see the dead creature on display. It turned out to be a dead kangaroo that he had painted with green stripes and fitted with fake claws and fake wings. There was also a farmer in Morrisville, Pennsylvania, who claimed that he had captured the bird beast in his barn. He was lying, of course, also. According to LevittTownNow.org, on January 21st, the city of Burlington, New Jersey, set out numerous steel traps, hoping to capture the beast, and the whole city was in a, quote, state bordering on panic. Farmers in the Pine Barrens went out hunting the, quote, strange freak from the nether regions.
Oh my goodness.
They're nether regions.
A strange freak of the nether regions.
I don't think I'd want to go into the nether regions.
No, not at all.
To look for some strange beast.
I know.
Hopefully it's not one-eyed.
The mermaid did it earlier.
That she did?
Yeah.
News spread as far away as Tennessee that the Jersey Devil was terrorizing New Jersey. They, however, described the creature as, quote, flying kangaroo, a cross-eyed humble puppy, and a winged bird.
Oh, cross-eyed what?
Humble puppy.
What is a humble puppy?
Well, I Googled humble puppy, by the way, and as far as I can tell, it's just a made-up word. There is a children's book called Humble Puppy, but it didn't come out until 1978.
Oh.
So I don't see where that could be associated.
No.
And then on January 23rd, 8 days after the Jersey Devil had first come to town, it simply disappeared. But of course, you all know from listening to our show that that's not the end. Of course the Jersey Devil came back. According to NewJersey.com, in 1927, a cab driver in Salem City stopped to change a tire. He told police that as he was doing that, a giant winged creature landed on the roof of his cab and started pounding on the roof. In 1960, several residents of Mays Landing, New Jersey, heard terrible screams in the middle of the night. After police received several panicked phone calls, they hung flyers all around town assuring people that the Jersey Devil was just a hoax and not to worry. On the other hand, a circus owner put up a $10,000 reward for anyone who could capture it. Nobody collected it, of course. The 1970s saw quite a few encounters also, like Mary Ritzer Christensen, who said she was driving from Blackwood to Glassboro one night in 1973 when she saw a towering figure like a goat standing in the road behind her car. The sighting gave her quite the heebie-jeebies.
Is that a direct quote?
Pretty much. Or 1978, when two teenage boys were ice skating in the Pine Barrens near Chatsworth. They both smelled something foul in the air, like rotting dead fish, and they both saw glowing red eyes staring at them. The 1980s included a brutal pig mutilation attributed to the Jersey Devil. Wharton State Forest Chief Ranger Alan McFarlane didn't know what to think when he was called out to a local farm to investigate the deaths of several pigs. Now, the forest winds around the Pine Barrens, but it isn't actually within its borders. When he saw the condition that the pigs were in, he didn't have any explanation. He said that the backs of their heads were eaten and their bodies were scratched and torn, but there wasn't a single track anywhere around them, and there wasn't a single drop of blood on the ground either. In the late 1980s, a group of friends were riding their dirt bikes in the Pine Barrens while on a camping trip. Some of the men took off along the trails and rode about 100 yards from their camp, when suddenly every single one of their bikes died at the exact same time. As they stood around trying to figure out what had stalled all of their bikes, they suggested things like the terrain was too rough or perhaps a nearby power plant was to blame. But horrible loud screams suddenly filled the air. They all booked it back to camp as fast as they could, and all of the men waiting in the camp said that, of course, they had heard it also. In 1993, Wharton Forest Park Ranger John Irwin was driving along Malika Road when he saw a strange creature standing in the middle of the road. He said it was covered in matted black fur and had horns on its head. It was about 6 feet tall. Irwin and the creature stared at each other for several minutes before the creature just turned around and walked into the forest. That same year, even more motorists spotted what they had thought to be the Jersey Devil. 3 cars were forced to slam on their brakes on Route 9 in Brayville when a 10-foot-tall creature ran out onto the road from behind a mini-mall and then disappeared in the woods on the other side of the road.
It was getting a big gulp.
It probably was. It was probably at McDonald's getting a fish sandwich. Although I don't have a date for this next encounter, it was featured in the Weird New Jersey book and on the Weird New Jersey website. A man named Keith shared his experience. He said he was camping alone in the Pine Barrens when he was 13 years old. He thought he'd catch himself a rabbit to cook for his dinner, but as he went out hunting with his bow and arrow, he felt like something was following him. The feeling stayed with him all the way back to his camp and the entire time that he cooked his rabbit. But after a few hours, he started to calm down and feel like whatever it was had moved on. So he crawled into his tent and tried to get some sleep. That's when he heard a heavy foot stomp right outside his tent. He was going to make a run for it, but before he could, the creature started screaming as loudly as a truck's horn. It screamed several times, nearly scaring Keith to death. Then it just stopped and everything went silent.
That's creepy, especially when you're alone and 13.
The poor kid stayed in that tent all night by himself, too afraid to move. In the morning, he couldn't find a single track anywhere around his tent.
That's like when I was on Schuyler Island and we heard all those weird sounds when we were camping. And we were sure that we were going to see all kinds of tracks and our tent was going to be ripped to shreds. And there was absolutely no evidence whatsoever that anything had been there.
Well, maybe the Jersey Devil had come to see you guys.
I'm not saying it was the Jersey Devil. I'm just saying that it was a similar thing where we were 100% convinced that some animal was tearing through our camp. We could hear it, and we could see the trees moving around the camp, and there was no evidence of anything.
Well, who knows?
I don't know. That's why I brought it up.
Well, thank you for that little tidbit. We all appreciate it.
Carry on.
Well, the sightings haven't stopped. When you add up all the thousands of people who claim they'd encountered the Jersey Devil in 1909, plus all the sightings before, that, and after, it's pretty hard to argue that people aren't seeing anything in the Pine Barrens. So, what are they seeing? Well, are you ready for the skeptical explanation?
Bring it on.
Initially, back in 1909, the Smithsonian set out to prove that the Jersey Devil was some sort of prehistoric holdout from the Jurassic period. But none of the research turned up any known possible contenders. So here's the modern-day skeptic's response. The Jersey Devil is nothing more than a misidentified sandhill crane. You know, because they were known to hiss and have a loud trumpet-like call that can travel 2.5 miles.
Right. Sure. So let's just call all of these people stupid, right? For lack of a better term. And let's just tell everybody that not only was Mothman a sandhill crane, but now the Jersey Devil is a sandhill crane. And let's just ignore the parts about it having a horse head and horns and cloven hooves and, let's just ignore all that.
Yes, let's say we do. Perhaps people were really encountering sandhill cranes, but in their surprise or in the moment, they made sense of what they were seeing the best way that they could.
Well, are sandhill cranes rare in the Pine Barrens?
Yes, but they are there.
Oh.
And typically in the winter months from October to February.
Oh. And most of the encounters in 1909 were in January. So it really could be a sandhill crane.
Well, here's the thing. The first sandhill crane didn't show up in the Pine Barrens at all until 1997. And in 1999, there was just a tiny flock of them. A good 90 years after the Jersey Devil flap of 1909. So that really can't explain every encounter that people had had.
Definitely not.
But I guess you'd have to see it for yourself to really figure that out.
I hope it's not a sandhill crane.
Well, I think perhaps a good number of the sightings could have been a sandhill crane, but I think some of these sightings, people were seeing something that they just couldn't wrap their heads around.
Yeah, a thing that looks like a dog, but then hisses at you and unfurls wings. Doesn't sound like a sandhill crane.
This is one weird cryptid.
I know.
I always found it to be very strange.
Yeah.
Quite personally, I don't buy into either story about the widow, or not the widow, but the woman who gave birth to 13 children, and the 13th was turned into a devil.
Right.
The whole soldier story,
yeah, I think
kind of doesn't do it for me also.
Yeah, I think the mother lead story you can totally debunk as just a ploy by Franklin to sell his almanacs.
Right. It needs a better creation story, one more believable.
Right. I don't know. And on the other hand, the creature that the one guy saw, I can't remember now if it was in Trenton or Bristol, but the guy that said that something white flew across the road.
Right.
And it had like a puff of smoke and it, like exhaled breath and it made a noise. That to me could be a sandhill crane.
Right. Breathing out cold air.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I feel as though people are seeing something.
For sure.
But who knows?
Yeah. We'd have to go there to find out.
Yeah.
And what are the chances if we went there that we'd see something anyway?
Very slim.
Very, very, very slim.
It'd have to be, a place that you live and that you probably travel down these roads all the time.
Yeah. Every day, twice a day or something like that.
I mean, we live here on Lake Champlain and we've never seen Champy.
I've seen Champy.
Of course you have. What medication were you on?
I don't know what I saw. I think it was a sturgeon.
More than
probably.
Likely.
But I saw something.
I'm sure he's out there. He's
looking for mermaids.
Doesn't want to be found.
Because there's no mermaids out on the lake.
I know. Everybody's got to have a mermaid. have something to look forward to every day.
I know.
Hopefully finding a mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that'll be our next story. Mermaids.
Mermaids?
Yeah.
Mermen and mermaids?
Sirens.
Oh, yeah. Sirens are pretty nasty.
Yeah. That they are.
Well, everybody, if you would like to know more about the Jersey Devil, you can always check our sources in our show notes. There is a ton of stuff we left out, especially some of the more recent encounters, because there's quite a few that you can get your own reading pleasure out of.
And that's why we have the show notes.
Yes.
Delve deeper in for yourself.
Yes.
Join us again next week for all new episode of Where Our Minds Wander.
See you soon. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to traveling with you again to the places where our minds wander.
If you like what you heard, please take a moment and provide us with a 5-star rating and a comment on your favorite listening platform. It really helps us move up the list and become more visible on the podcast charts so new people can find us.
And thank you all for your continued support.
See you next week for an all-new episode.